I think that you also have to find others who are doing what you're doing or doing similar things, and there's power in numbers, and there's nothing better than a demonstration of the principles that you're trying to implement that's successful. I wanted to just share with you an effort that is going on in Chicago that is a finalist in the Buckminster Fuller Challenge for this year. It's a project called Eco Boulevards, which has been designed by a firm called Urban Labs here in Chicago. And it is taking on the very real issue that over 1 billion gallons of water from the Great Lakes is used every day by the citizens of the Chicago area. This project is reconceiving the Chicago street grid as a holistic biosystem that captures, cleans, and returns water back out to the lake. You can find more information about it at challenge.bfi.org, but these are citizens of your own city who are envisioning how you can, as a community, take on the major issues that are facing you now and will be even more critical as time goes on. So.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to respond to the question as well about the idea of getting past the choir. When you think about any message, there's components of how people send and receive the signal. Let's put it that way. Think of it as almost an engineering problem, like a network that's meant to go beyond itself. I love the idea of thinking outside the box on this because it's precisely, if you look at what's been going on with the Tea Party, for example, the right-wing ideologies that we all thought were totally discredited under Bush, they're actually re-energized, which is amazing to me. I can't believe anybody who'd rub 2 brain cells together would actually, the whole Republican, it's back, So I think those guys, if we turn the mirror upside down and reverse it, so to speak, if we're talking about the ideologies here, one of Bush's main assistants, I love this one phrase, he says, you guys are still based in what they call the reality-based community. I think that's all of us from the room here. But he said, you guys keep trying to disprove what we're saying, but we always move on to the next fiction. Anybody remember this one when Bush went? Yeah, it's an amazing phrase when you hear how amazingly, bizarrely surreal these guys were. But the idea here is you can't fight them with facts in the same way that we would normally think of arguing action X happens and that leads to action Y. These guys are dealing with nonlinear dynamics. They're thinking about cloud logic. It's not even about creating a connection between causality and effect here. And I think that we progressives here, to reach people, we need to kind of start thinking in, for lack of a better word, omnidirectional, moving in many directions simultaneoly, being able to create unexpected connections, juxtapositions, and above all, to say that these are not going to be contained. Because sometimes the left, and especially with the green aesthetic, one of my favorite people is Majora Carter. She's been doing a lot of really interesting progressive stuff in the South Bronx, and where you would never expect a green movement to have sprouted. Precisely because she said, I'm going to defy these expectations and create a new situation, because she says this is something that needs to be done. That kind of passion, I think, cuts through everything. But at the end of the day, it's like we're at a very crucial and strange moment. I mean, I'm very intrigued to see how the next several months play out with this whole Tea Party stuff and the impact of having local elections right now. And on the other hand, as the gentleman pointed out in Colombia, people are moving ahead in other parts of the world into all sorts of, there's more wind farms in China, things like that, solar power in China, and who would have guessed, right? So to make a long story short, these are things that are seeds and they need to be just helped to grow, which I think this is kind of getting past the limitations of when we think about this kind of thing, that's the first step.
I don't want to go too much into our next presenter's time, but we have time for one more question, I think.
I think Paul's the next presenter here too, yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna, go ahead. Yeah, so think of it as a mixed tape here. We can just kind of,